I'm going to talk about our ICX35 Industrial Cellular Gateway, as well as a new service that we are preparing to launch called ProSoft Connect, and how that will work along with the ICX35 to provide some really great functionality and ease of use for you. So let's get started. The ICX35 is a new cellular gateway for us. It uses the 4G LTE cellular network. We've had cellular products in the past. This is our first 4G LTE product, and one of the first industrial 4G products available. We have, compared to our prior generation, we have reduced the panel space required for this product. It is DIN rail mounted, but as you can see from the picture, it takes up less space than our prior product did, which mounted flat against the panel. This one is more of a bookshelf, because panel space is, of course, very important to everybody. This product communicates via Ethernet or serial communications, so you can connect local devices regardless of whether they are RS-485 or Ethernet based. It also has built-in support for OpenVPN and IPSec networks to allow you to use this device when you are setting up your own VPN connections between multiple sites. It is built in a rugged industrial design for reliable operations, including a full industrial range temperature spec and a very robust metal enclosure as well. And an important new feature is this is our first product that is ProSoft Connect enabled, and I'll talk a bit more about that and give you a demonstration of what that actually means here in a second. So why consider a 4G LTE product for an industrial application? Typically we think of the 4G LTE technologies in the cellular world as being higher speed, which is true, but in a lot of industrial applications that may or may not be important. However, one thing that is very important in the industrial world is product life cycle and longevity of service. When we install products into a machine, we expect them to last for a long time. And in the cellular world, that can be a challenge because the carriers who provide cellular service really have to keep up with the consumer demand for more and more data. 4G LTE is the current standard, the latest standard in the cellular industry, and therefore it has the longest life cycle left. If you look at some of the services, some of the cellular technologies that have come before, 2G is currently being phased out. That technology's been around for a long time, but it's being phased out, meaning that a lot of 2G devices will no longer have a network to connect to very soon. Beginning in 2017, so next year, Verizon, one of the major carriers here in the U.S., has already announced that they are going to begin reusing their 3G spectrum and turning that into 4G. So they are already going to begin turning off some of their 3G service in favor of 4G beginning next year. And AT&T here in the U.S. will complete the shutdown of their 2G service by 2017. When we look out a little bit further, by 2020, 3G is expected to begin to be turned off in many countries, many major countries across the world, as the demand for 4G services grows and the spectrum that is available to these operators gets turned over to, from 3G into 4G. And by 2025, 10 years from now, it's expected that 3G service will no longer be available in many countries. So the biggest driver that we see for a 4G LTE product in the industrial space is this long life that we can expect by using the current technology, which we expect to be around for a longer period of time. Like our previous products, cellular products, the ICX35 does support VPN connection for secure remote access or secure remote connections between sites. This allows you to establish an open VPN or an IPSec connection between your ICX35 and an IPSec or Open VPN server. In addition, you can set up a fully contained point-to-point VPN tunnel between two ICX35s without the need for any additional VPN tunnel. And then finally, one of the things that we have done and one of the key features of our ProSoft Connect service is the elimination of this need for a VPN server. And again, I'll talk about that in a lot more detail here in a minute. Again, you can connect via either Ethernet or the serial data port, and you can do that simultaneously. And the way we handle the serial port in this setup is we actually encapsulate the serial communication, either Modbus or DF1. We encapsulate that in Ethernet to send back over the cellular network. So you're able to see the actual serial protocols on the other end. Because we are an industrial, we serve the industrial market, we've included advanced diagnostic features in the ICX35 that are really useful for industrial customers. For starters, there's a built-in web server in the ICX35 that provides local and remote configuration capability, as well as a lot of diagnostic information about the radio itself and its local network. That's really helpful. Coming very soon in the next version of firmware for the ICX35, we are adding an Ethernet IP object to the device. Some of you who are familiar with other ProSoft products, like our RLX2 wireless LAN products, may be familiar with this concept. What the Ethernet IP object allows us to do is it allows us to provide diagnostic and status information about the ICX35 natively to a Rockwell controller or other controller that runs Ethernet IP protocol. So we can provide tags directly into that environment. It makes it very easy to get diagnostic data from the device and then either write logic around different status feedbacks or display information about that device on an HMI or some such thing.
Keith, we have a question here. It says, will Modbus TCP Diagnostics be added to the ICX35?
We do plan to add Modbus TCP Diagnostics, just like we have that capability in other products today. That will happen a little bit later on, so not in the next firmware revision, but probably not too long after that. So good question, thank you. All of this, these radio diagnostics really help to reduce downtime because you're able to see what's happening with your device and react to it more quickly. So again, these are things that we build in because industrial users look for these kind of capabilities and really need to drive that reduced downtime. Another feature that we have coming in the next revision of firmware for the ICX35 is the ability to send and receive SMS messages via that Ethernet IP-based messaging. So you'll be able to get machine alarm information, create a message in your controller, trigger that to send via SMS to one or more phone numbers, and then be able to receive information in to perhaps react to an event as well. So again, it makes a very nice additional feature that you can add to a machine to reduce the downtime, react to outages more quickly, and keep everybody informed about what's happening with that machine. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is the newest feature that we've added that's part of the ICX 35 and is something that we're about to release next month. So this is a little bit of a preview. We haven't officially launched this service yet, but we do have it available to any ICX 35 user today in beta form. So, so this is a really neat new service that we're rolling out. We call it ProSoft Connect, and ProSoft Connect is a secure cloud-native platform for the industrial Internet of Things. And this service, this platform, has a few very important attributes to it. The first is, driving towards the security. This is a service that does not require any PC-based or PC-installed software. It's truly cloud-native. So this is running in a data server or a data center, and you access the service just through a browser using operating system native tools to do all your connections. Because it's cloud native, it's a very highly reliable service. We are able to very quickly recover from any faults in any services that we're providing to the point where you would almost never even notice those things. We have used a lot of user feedback and usability studies to develop a system that is incredibly easy to use. A lot of the things that our customers do with remote access and network management and that kind of thing can be fairly complex things to do. We have tried very hard to take that complexity out of the equation and make it a very easy to use, very easy to understand system. And I'll show you what that does, particularly for the application of secure remote access here in a second.
Keith, another question.
Yes.
Sorry. Is SMS texting via the Modbus be added in the future?
That is the plan as well, yes. Again, so Ethernet IP will do the object, and along with that object, we'll be able to tie in the SMS. And then when we go back and we do the Modbus TCP, it will do the same thing.
All right, thank you.
Sure. So another attribute of a cloud-native platform like ProSoft Connect is it allows you to access this service from anywhere. Anywhere that you have an internet connection, you'll be able to get to this service. This is actually a very appropriate attribute today because I am actually in a different office. I'm actually in Fremont, California today, which is about 400 kilometers away from Bakersfield, where my normal office is. And in fact, that's where my demo is. So as I go through this whole demo, I'm not even near the hardware that I'm going to be showing you. So, so that speaks to that access anywhere mentality. And finally, we built this service to be highly secure. It's very important for us to protect anything that our customers are doing. So we've built security into this service. We're using the latest technologies for securing cloud applications, and again, you'll see some of that as I go through this demo.
Keith, there are two questions here. One is, will ICX 35 include a web HMI option? The other is, where is the cloud server located?
Good questions. Initially, we do not have a web HMI capability built into Connect. The part that I'm getting to on this next slide talks to that a little bit, so let me talk through that slide here in a second. As for where the service actually sits, we are currently using Amazon Web Services as the host for this application, and the currently we just have one zone that we're using, which is a data center on the west coast of the U.S. However, we've built this service to be extremely portable, and we will be opening up zones around the world to support our customers in all regions. So that will happen over the course of the next few months. So as I said, right now we are in a beta state with this product. So that's why we're just running it on in one zone right now. Amazon refers to these as zones, but one geographic location. So we'll expand that for sure over the course of this year. So as we look at ProSoft Connect as a platform, on top of that platform, we're going to deliver different applications that are important to industrial customers. The first one that we have right now available to customers is secure remote access. Essentially, this is establishing an encrypted VPN connection between a PC, customer's PC, and the local network on the other side of the ICX35. That's what I'm going to give you a preview of here in just a second. In the future, we will be adding additional capabilities to this platform. This is a great, easy-to-use system to get to our devices, which have access to all kinds of great information that are on these industrial networks, in machines, and that kind of thing. It will give us the ability to do things like data acquisition, like helping to set up persistent connections. Secure remote access is really around the idea of troubleshooting and accessing your remote machine to program it and that kind of thing. As we expand the service, we will add full-time connections to connect multiple production sites the way you would today by setting up your own open VPN server. We'll make that available through this service instead. And as the question that came in, we also will be adding the capability to do remote machine interface, where you'll be able to perhaps see the HMI on your machine, and in the future even set up some simple HMI streams directly onto the device. So these are all things that we envision for this platform as we roll it out and expand the capabilities. So next, what I want to do is actually get in and show you how this works. And what I have is I've got a demonstration system that consists of my PC over here on the left. As I said, I'm here in a different office in Fremont, and I'm connected up through our firewall here. I'm on a local network with an IP subnet in this 192.168.157 range. So, by itself, my computer can only see other devices that are on that network or devices that are publicly out on the internet. Back over in Bakersfield at my desk, I have an ICX35 cell modem. It's got an IP address from the cell carrier. In this case, it's a fixed public IP address, but that's not important at all. This service is really designed to work with any carrier, so you don't need a fixed public IP address. So that IP address is not relevant, but what is the local subnet of all my devices down here. I have a little switch on my desk. I've set up a network on the 192.168.0 subnet, and I've got a Rockwell PLC connected at the .25 IP address, and I've got a little HMI panel attached to the .30 IP address. And I'm going to show you how, first of all, how easy it is to establish a secure VPN connection between my PC over here and this local network over at my desk in Bakersfield. The other thing I'm going to show you is the powerful way that we are setting up these connections. as we look at other remote access options that customers in industry have, almost all of them create what's called a layer 3 connection between the PC and the remote network. What that means is that you have to route, or the service has to route traffic from one network to another. And that works, but it has a lot of limitations, and we'll talk a little bit about that. What ProSoft Connect does is it forms a layer 2 connection. Effectively, my PC will look like it's part of this LAN. I will have an IP address that's in this 192.168.0 range, and that's going to let me use some of the discovery tools and programming tools without needing to do any kind of routing or any kind of special network setup to make it all work. So we've taken this remote access concept and we've made it incredibly simple to use. Okay, so let me go from here over to the demo, and to do that I'm going to go into my virtual machine, and I'm going to come over here to my web browser. I am already on the website www.prosoft.io. And this is the landing page for prosoft.io or ProSoft Connect. The .io domain is the or extension is being used for a lot of IoT applications, so that's why we chose to use it with this service. This is a public website, so any of you can go to this address right now and you'll see the exact same screen that I'm showing you here. And in fact, anybody can come over here and sign up for a new account. You just put your name and email address in, you'll get an activation email to activate your account, and then you'll be able to go in and at least see what the features are. Without an ICX35, there's not a lot to do, but you can get in and actually see how things work, and you'll see the screens that I'm showing you next. So I'm going to log into my account, and the first thing that I'll see when I go into my account is I'll see an overview of all of the ICX35s that I have deployed around the world. And I can look at them a few different ways. In this view, I can see them as cards or tiles, as we call them. And it has some information. I've got the device name, I've got the serial number, I've got the bars to show me my signal strength, and a few other things like that. If there are any alerts associated with them, I can see that here. When I mouse over this one, it says my cellular plan data usage is a problem, so I should check that out. So I get a lot of information right from this screen. I can also look at my devices on a map and see where I have these around the world. So maybe I'm a OEM making machines, and I've sold machines to customers all over the world, and I use these devices to help my customers through remote troubleshooting and that kind of thing. I can quickly find a particular customer by going to the map. I know where they are and zoom in to the right device. And finally, I can also look at these in a table view. As I get more and more devices out there, I may want to look at a slightly more consolidated view, and I get a lot of the same information this way as well. Now, this yes?
Oh, sorry. We have a question from Qingyu. She's asking again about where the VPN server is based in. Maybe you can elaborate that a bit more.
Sure. So the VPN server is one of the services that runs in the ProSoft Connect application. And currently, we deploy on Amazon Web Services, or AWS. The server that we are deployed on, or the Amazon data center that we're currently deployed on, is on the west coast of the U.S., actually in Oregon, the Northwest. We will, as we get closer to launch and then throughout the first few months of service, we will be deploying other locations within the Amazon or within Amazon services to serve our customers really around the world. So today, this is all running in the northwest of the U.S. In the future, this will run in multiple locations. So what I have is this account belongs to me, but I can bring other people into this account as team members. So I've got that under this section over here called Team. When I click on here, I see all of the different people who also have access to the gateways in my account, to the ICX35s in my account. So I'm the administrator over here. There's a few of our web developers who are still active in here. One of my counterparts, Stu, who's another product person. And my team members have different levels of access that they're allowed. Bubba over here is allowed to connect, but he can't do anything else. He can't configure any of my ICX35s. And that's the same for Kim Shern as well. He can connect but not configure anything. Stu is allowed to actually configure my devices. And then as the administrator, I can do all of that. So again, very, very easy to set up other users and get them to collaborate and help troubleshoot things. I also have an activity log, which shows what's been happening in my account. It shows when somebody creates a tunnel, which is a VPN session, between my device. Here, Kim Shern created one a few minutes ago, actually. And so I see that logged here. Other times that I've created that. And I see if there's any issue with a particular gateway. For example, this one went offline and was restored, that kind of thing. So you get good logs of all of the activity that happens in your account. We saw that one of my devices had an alert associated with it. I can come to the alerts screen and see exactly what's going on. My device that's at the Belden headquarters in St. Louis has a cell plan usage alert, and I've exceeded the 80% level that it triggers an alert for. So again, you can get a lot of this information about all of your devices directly through here. And finally, if I'm going through my trying to do things in my account and I run into any kind of problems, I have the button here for support. And I call up a little chat window, essentially, to be able to send a message directly to ProSoft Tech Support through this application. Depending on the availability of our tech support engineers, somebody may return an answer right away, or we may tell you, hey, we'll get back to you in a little bit. But I can send the message here. I can close out of my session, and when the tech support engineer responds, I'll get an email with that response as well. When I come back into ProSoft Connect, that whole conversation will be right here also. So again, it's a nice tool to get support very quickly through the service. All right, so let's go back up to our gateways. There's a couple of more features that we want to see. So now that I want to go into my gateway here and see what's happening. When I click on a gateway, I go to the gateway overview screen with some good detail information that tells me what's happening with my device. I've been running for 4 days. I have a nice strong signal, negative 61 dBm. That's a really good signal for a cell device. My speeds, these are in bytes per second, not bits per second. So they look, or maybe I have that backwards. No, I have it right. So they look worse than they really are, but they're not really good because AT&T at our office is not very fast. And we've got information about the device over here, the LAN IP address, the wide area network IP address, so what the cell carrier gave me, the serial number of the device, and the firmware revision. Now, firmware is always a big deal for industrial devices. If I have firmware, I can come in here, and if I wanted to, I can update the firmware. Simply pick which revision of firmware I want to update to. So far, there's only been 2 firmware revisions that support Connect, so we're on the latest one. I have a couple of options when I select that. I can either change it right away, or I can schedule it to change it later. Let's do that one, because I don't want to update my firmware while I'm in the middle of a presentation. That would be bad. When I click on that, Connect already knows that I have other gateways in my account and says, hey, do you want to update these other ones as well? So I can select some or all of these gateways and do a mass update and schedule that update for midnight sometime, maybe over the weekend. So really nice feature to be able to manage firmware updates for your devices, since your devices are probably going to be scattered all over the world, or certainly over a wide area. That's why you're using this service. So I'll dismiss that. I don't need to update my firmware. From this service, I can also set all of my parameters, set up the configuration of my ICE635. Under the Gateway tab, I see all the information specific to the ICE635 device itself. What's its name, information about the cell service that I have and its location. I've got the LAN address, so the address that I assign to the ICE635 LAN port. I've got some advanced configurations I can open up around that. I also have the wide area information in here. I can also set up information about the end devices. We can set up a pass-through. So if I use the WAN IP address of the ICE635, I can direct it to a device on the local network. I can set that up through here. I can set up anything having to do with my serial port, whether it's 232 or 485, that kind of thing, if I'm using my serial port, and the type of encapsulation. And then I can also set up information about my web interface, what VPN I'm using, if I'm using an external VPN. And then finally, this one down here, the tunneled client IP, this is where I tell Connect what IP address to give my PC when I create a tunnel to that device. So you'll see in a second, when I create my VPN tunnel, my PC will get this 192.168.0.251 address. That's where this is going to come from. So that's everything about that. You can also see activity that was related specifically to this device, to this gateway in here as well, just like we saw before. What user, what did they do, and all of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this layer 2 VPN session and show you how that works and how tools like RS Logix or RS Links are able to use the kind of connection that you're used to when you're plugged directly into a switch, except this is happening over the over several hundred miles or whatever distance you have.
Keith,
and I want to make yes.
Can we answer some questions now, or do you want to push it to the end of the session?
No, it's fine. We can definitely answer some questions right now.
Okay, so here's one. Connect support concurrent connections to several ICX35, or is connectivity limited to one at a time? Scenario is several VMs or user with one account, ProSoft account connected to multiple ICX35s.
Today, the Connect service is limited to one tunnel per account, one concurrent tunnel per account. So you would not be able to set up multiple tunnels tunnels to multiple ICX35s or you would not be able to have multiple users creating tunnels at the same time. As we continue to develop the service, we will offer an expanded set of capabilities, including the ability to run multiple tunnels that will be part of a premium service around ProSoft Connect. Right now, this service, everything you see here, is free to anyone with an ICX35, or in the future as we support other ProSoft products. But we will also expand these capabilities in the future for other premium services too.
All right, thank you. Another one comes from Mr. Faizan. It's the longitude and latitude details just now. Do you have the GPS built in to get the data, or is this being keyed in?
Presently, we do not have GPS built into the ICX35. That's a hardware enhancement that we will likely do in the future. So right now, the latitude and longitude information is manually entered. So that's a limitation, but GPS is something we'll probably add soon.
Okay, another one is where does the help message get sent to? ProSoft US or closest ProSoft office from customer region?
Well, right now in the beta version, that message gets sent to the web developers, so including our VP of Engineering, who does most of the answering. But in the released version, when we fully launch this in June, that support function will direct to our entire support organization worldwide. So, wherever you're generating that message from, it will go to a common mailbox, and it'll notify all of our support technicians around the world. So if it happens to be daytime in the U.S. engineer will probably pick it up and answer the question. If it's daytime in Kuala Lumpur, our Asia Pacific team will probably pick it up and answer the question. So that's the plan for how support will work.
Okay, thank you. One last one. How to add new ICX35 device in this ProSoft Connect? This was yeah.
Great question. I skipped that part. Let me drop back and show you. So if I'm in my main page, I've got up here in the top right corner a button that says Activate a Gateway. So let me first, I'm going to go into the actual web server of the ICX35. I forgot I changed this. It's good practice to change your password, by the way, which I finally did. So in the web server of the ICX35, when I'm connected to it locally, or in this case, I'm connected to it over the WAN port, I can come into the Administrator tab, and down here at the bottom is ProSoft Connect. My device is already activated on ProSoft Connect, but if it wasn't, this button would say Activate. I would click this button here. The ICX35 will then go out and talk to the ProSoft Connect server. The server will give the device a one-time activation code, and then I'll take that code, copy it, go back over to my Connect account. So now I've logged into my account, and I'll hit Activate a Gateway, and then just enter that key or paste that key in right here. So what's happened in that process? First of all, there's a shared certificate that the ICX35 has that validates it as an ICX35 with our server. So when it first goes out and asks for a code, the first thing it has to do is validate its certificate. Second, it gets this code, which is temporary one-time use code, and only, it'll only associate that device to an account once somebody logs in and enters the code here. So it's really a two-step verification of the authenticity of that device and assigning it into the right account. So it becomes very, very difficult to spoof or fake the system into thinking something is an ICE635 when it's not. So it's a very secure process for getting the device into your account in the first place. All right, so I will. So next, what I'll do is I'll go through the process here of connecting to the, setting up my layer 2 connection and connecting to the PLC equipment that I've got back in my office. When I want to connect, I click on that connect button, and the ProSoft Connect service generates a one-time username. This is a crazy looking username right here. I copy that to my clipboard and close the service. Remember, we don't install any software because software installation creates several problems around security. So what we do is we use a native VPN client within your operating system. In this case, we're using an L2TP VPN client that is built into Microsoft Windows. It's the only piece of software that your security is really going to depend on, and it's a component of the operating system. So it's the kind of thing that gets updated very quickly if there's ever an issue. I'm going to paste my that username that Connect gave me into this L2TP session. Hit Connect, and now I'm connected. It takes about a second or two for the web service to recognize and finish the process. When it does, you'll see this little VPN icon right here show that it's connected. There it is. It turned on. It tells me that the gateway is connected and I'm connected. What that means is I can now find devices. Oops, I'm looking in the wrong place. Find devices that are on the local network of that ICE635. So let me come into my RS links. For those of you who are familiar with the Rockwell world, this is probably somewhat familiar to you. RS links is used for communicating to just about any kind of Rockwell device. For those of you who are familiar with other PLC or automation equipment, there's probably a similar process that you would go through to connect to devices. Now, I want to talk to Rockwell devices that are all talking Ethernet IP. So when I set up a driver in my communication software, I want to set up an Ethernet IP driver. The important thing here with the Ethernet IP driver is because Rockwell software and RS Links understands Ethernet IP, it understands the kind of information that an Ethernet IP device will give it. It's able to go out and scan a network and find all of the Ethernet IP devices and tell me where they are, what their IP address is, and all that kind of thing. But it can only do that when I'm connected to the same local subnet as the devices I'm looking for. With any other service that I'm aware of, the remote access services, you would need to set up a generic Ethernet driver. When that happens, you have to specify the end IP address that you want, because essentially in the back end, the system is going to route your data from wherever you are over to that local subnet, and you're not able to scan it. So I'll set up my Ethernet IP driver, and I'll just leave it as Ethernet IP-2. And the one piece of information that RS Links needs to know about is what adapter does it want me to, do I want it to use? And you've got the Windows default in here, which is this one down here, this Intel network connection. That's what my VM is using. And then I've got my ProSoft Connect VPN client. And you can see that the IP address of my ProSoft Connect client is 192.168.0.251. That's the address that I set up in Connect and told Connect to assign to any computer that tries to make that VPN connection. That address is on the local subnet that's plugged into the switch sitting on my desk. I hit OK, and I close this. Here's my new driver. When I open this, it's going to scan that local subnet and find any Ethernet IP devices that are connected to it. I open it up. There I've got my processor, my Compact Logix processor at 0.25, and I've got my PanelView Plus sitting at 0.30. So really, we've done a lot of work to make this a very, very simple setup and make it so that your automation software, whatever software package you're using and whatever PLC you're connecting to, if the functionality of that software works when your PC is plugged into the local switch, it'll work when you're plugged into ProSoft Connect. So it's a very, very powerful tool, making it extremely easy to connect to your automation equipment and troubleshoot. So that is, that's how that works. Whenever you're done with your connection, you simply go back into your Connect account, hit disconnect, and the tunnel closes. The VPN says, hey, that just closed. Do you want to start it over? And we don't. And if we tried to, since I had disconnected out of ProSoft Connect, my session ID is now gone. It no longer exists. Nobody else can use that session ID to get in. So even if I did hit reconnect, it wouldn't be able to reconnect with that same session ID. So there it is. That is how ProSoft Connect works. It's like I said, it's a feature built into the ICX35. Everything I've shown you in this demo is a free service for ICX35 users. Really makes it incredibly easy to gain remote access to your automation equipment wherever it happens to be. Okay, and I believe that is all I have. There have been some really good questions so far. I'll open it up to any additional questions now.
All right, thank you, Keith. There are a few more questions here. What is the data transfer rate possible?
Sure. So it depends on a few things. The ICX35 itself uses the 4G LTE network, so you can get fairly high data transfer rates. As I said, where our office is located in Bakersfield, the rates, the connection speed we get varies pretty dramatically depending on time of day. I'm sure that's true in other places as well, but for real throughput, the ICX35 can reliably do up to 6 to 8 megabits per second. It won't get much higher than that, even with a faster connection. The other issue that you may see, particularly as we are early in this process, is the latency back to the host site. And as I said before, one of the questions asked where we're hosted, and right now there's only one, and that's in the U.S. So for most of the folks on the phone here, that latency will be a bit of a concern as well until we open up more sites in Asia, and we'll do that this year.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, do you have any limitations in bandwidth per month, meaning any limitations in amount of data downloaded and uploaded?
We will. Right now in the beta form, we're not enforcing any limits. However, I'll get a report if somebody's running tons and tons of data. The plan is that in the free account, you'll have 1 gig of VPN data limit per month. So that's our intended limit on free accounts, and then as we go further down, we'll have premium accounts as well, where we'll have much higher data limits, more VPN concurrent sessions, more tools for managing larger deployments and that kind of thing.
Okay. Next question is, how soon will the data acquisition facility be rolled out?
That's a good question. We're still defining what that's going to be, so that one's still a little bit further out. That's at least a a 1 to 2 year kind of project for us.
All right. Next question. Is it approved in China?
Yes, kind of. The I-635 works in China. There's some additional hardware. We're testing out a new radio that uses the China 4G LTE spec uses a slightly different technology. So our current radio works. We're going to build a China-specific one that will work better in China. The second piece of that is the ProSoft Connect itself, and so far we've not made a major effort yet around getting it to work in China. So far we've seen issues with the Great Firewall blocking some of the VPN traffic. So there's some additional work we're going to have to do around making it work reliably in China. In all likelihood, we will add a China-based host server site for it, and we may need to do some additional changes to how we run the VPN. So that will all happen, in the not too distant future.
Okay, thank you. Can you do concurrent connection for one account? So, if so, any limitation in the number of concurrent connections?
Right now, the limit is one concurrent session, or I guess that would be no concurrent sessions. I'm not sure what you mean by that. The premium accounts will open that up for multiple concurrent sessions. So the limitation right now is by choice on our part, and kind of trying to limit the data a little bit there, data usage. But as large users, larger organizations look to adopt ProSoft Connect as a means of remote access, they're going to need a lot more tools in addition to concurrent sessions, but more user management tools and things like that as well. So those are the kind of things that we'll build into a premium service later this year.
Okay, thank you. After the security credentials are obtained, is the L2TP tunnel established directly between the user and I-635 or through the AWS server?
It's through the AWS server. In fact, it's through a VPN server application that we run in AWS. So it is VPN from the PC to the VPN server, and then from the VPN server to the I-635.
Okay, one more question. How about in Philippines? I guess this is a will it run?
It should. I'm not aware of any special firewall blocking going on there. If there is, well, I'll give it a try next week. I'll be there. I will definitely try it. I suspect that we'll still see some latency. I know the ProSoft folks in Kuala Lumpur have played with this a little bit as well, and one of our folks in the Middle East also, and it works very nicely. It's just you see a latency going back to the server in the U.S. So I think that should be the only issue we have in the Philippines, or really anywhere in the world. Unless unless the government is doing something around blocking certain types of traffic, in which case we'll need to learn by actually seeing it. Unfortunately, a lot of these times where the government blocks particular traffic, they're not very transparent about the traffic they're blocking. So until we actually use it and start to learn, we can't always know what will and won't work.
Next question, when is it likely to get approved in India?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't know. The I-635 does need to get the WRC approval. I'm certain that it's on the list of things to do. I don't think we need a special radio for India. I think we can use the standard 4G LTE radio we have. There are a few regions where we need a special radio, so we're looking into that. We're actually developing that in I think Brazil, China, and I think it might be Saudi Arabia, a few places where a standard LTE doesn't work very well, so we need to update the radio. But I don't think India is one of those, so it'll probably be relatively soon. But I'll need to get a date and get back to you.
Okay, next one is, are you using IPSec encryption with the L2TP tunnel or MPPE?
IPSec and 256-bit AES encryption.
Okay, that's all the questions we have right now. If you have any more questions, please feel free to type it in. And once again, thank you, Keith, for your presentation.
It's my pleasure. I really appreciate everybody's time. I'm just incredibly excited about this product and the service, and I hope I hope some of the folks on the call will have some applications for us so we can go out and start to use it.
Oh, sorry, there's one more coming in. Can it be used in standalone mode in India? I mean, without ProSoft Connect?
Actually, the ProSoft Connect should be no problem at all in India. The only question I have is the certification on the ICX35 device itself. It may already be approved. I don't know that off the top of my head. So, and if so, you can use it standalone, or you can use it with ProSoft Connect. With the same limitations as anyone else, that right now it's a beta service only running in the U.S., so you'll have the latency. But I don't think there's any. I'm almost positive there'll be no issue with VPN and things like that from India.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, I think that's it. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Keith.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, have a good day. Bye.